Good day to you, Earth-based Englishman here. I'm stood outside a ritual space, and one of the people who organised this is, I'm just going to have a quick interview with him. His name is Jack, and he's important. Hi Jack.
Hello, mate.
I've just introduced the people who watch my videos to this is a sacred space, and that you've got some importance within the heathen community. What interested you in heathenry? What brought you into it? And what's all this about?
Well, I first got into... I was always religious and spiritual, or felt like there was something else more than just what we can see on our plane.
Yeah.
And I didn't think Christianity never really sat right with me. Like the status quo didn't really fit in, because I didn't believe that deities would be totally human orientated and totally all controlling, and also at the same time loving you while allowing bad things to happen.
Okay.
But it wasn't until I started reading things like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit that I started to explore the more fantastical, I guess is what you would say. But it wasn't until my father gave me a book called Tolkien's Ring, which discussed what it was that influenced Tolkien in the writings of things like the Anglo-Saxons or the Dwarven runes. So I started reading that, and then I started reading into like ancient history, which I was a lot more interested in than modern.
And the runes are all across his books as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all over. So
which are also on your arm.
Yeah, well, this is Younger Futhark, which Joan McCarthy ascribed. It's my wife's name, my daughter's name, and my son's name, with room for one more.
Okay.
So yeah, I got into heathenry that way. And I joined Asatru UK in 2012 as a Facebook group, and we started doing moots and things in 2013, and I've just attended them ever since.
And according to your t-shirt, you're part of the committee.
Yeah, so I was in the first original committee, and then I took some time off to focus on my mental health and things like that. And then I came back in, I think, 2015 as the events organiser, and we've been doing events ever since. I mean, it's been a bit of a setback with COVID, but this is the first one since.
And this is one of the events that you've helped organise.
Yeah, so what we started doing at the Asgardian festivals, which was organised by Pippa Hall, was we wanted to have a sacred space. So we know that historically the ancient heathens were practising outdoors and indoors, but what they would be doing is practising in something called a vey, or a whale, which is what the Anglo-Saxons would have called it, so it's W-E-O-H, whereas this is V-E, vey. And we also know that the Icelanders were using what we would interpret as portable veys. So they would have stave markers that they would be able to take, and they would have their altars, and they would travel. So when large communities of heathens were travelling, they'd find places that spoke to them spiritually, or they'd get a good energy for it, or they'd feel a connection with the whites or a certain deity, and they'd set their vey up very much like this. And they would parade around using fire and probably a little bit of salt.
And for the listeners, a white is?
A white is a spirit. So any sort of spirit, fairies, elves, dwarves, those sorts of things.
Okay.
So, we say whites. Doesn't sound great sometimes, because when you got a load of people standing around in a field and passers by here, somebody with a horn and runes on their arms going, "Hail the whites," probably can look a bit dodgy. It's one of the uphill challenges.
And this is where we've got a connection with the earth and the things around us.
Yeah, so everything in here is totally natural, really. It's all natural wax in the candles and such. There's some long life stuff such as metal and glass,
but they're used over and over again.
Yeah, constantly, continuously. They're charged. These lanterns down here, for instance, that was made for me by a member of my kindred. I've used them at every single Yule moot that my kindred has held for 7 years now, so their specific function is always served. These god posts have all been made by individual heathens as well. As you can see, we've got our large Odin god post, which is the first of its kind, first of many, I might add. There are a few missing now because the people that interacted with these gods as their priests and priestesses have gone home now, because it's pack-up day, sadly. But again, with each altar, we want total community involvement, whether or not you're standing in the crowd watching it happen, or you're asked or you volunteered to get involved. Every single altar is different. They're not just different because every single altar is a different god. It's always going to be unique because somebody has done it themselves. It's from that person individually. They've decorated it. It's
and this is what individuals at home can do themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. This is take it as inspiration for what you can do as a home altar. No two altars will ever be the same to the same god. There's no uniformity like that. This is part of the uniqueness and individuality that heathenry and paganism in general tends to preach. Is you can be focused on the self rather than it. Whilst it's community orientated and it's for the people, it's also that you can be your own individual. There is no rules and law for you to tell you that no, you can't do that. No one's going to step into the Vey during a ritual and say you're doing that wrong. Like that's not right. Okay, you might get people online saying that, but that's people online. You can say anything you want to people online. So yeah, this is probably the 4th year that we've started doing Veys publicly again. There are some cracking people out there that do some really, really fantastic outdoor worship. There's a lovely kindred over in Bristol who I'm good friends with, and they really, really take their white worship seriously, and they've got a lot of strong decorative items that they use for ritual purpose, which is wonderful. So it'd be good to see more of this everywhere around the country.
And just so people don't get the wrong idea, we can see the skull over there.
Yeah. So this is Thor's totem. This is my guy. So this is a goat skull that Rich Blackett, chairman of Asatru UK, gave to Dan Coltis as a gift, who is the elected Gothi of the Yorkshire Heathen kindred. He's also the chairman of the Defence Pagan Network and the current treasurer of Asatru UK as well. So he's a busy man, as I'm sure you know. So yeah, we've got some ritual offerings here to Thor and to his lady Sith, who we did the Lammas blot slightly late to yesterday. Thor's hammer. This was a gift to me from a lady called Jules McKinnon, who's a member of my kindred and very dear friend of ours. So she forged that, and we use that for hammerite and such things. And
we can see the representation of the Thor's hammer in some of the offerings here as well.
Yep.
So we've got lots of offerings around. Where do they go at the end of the ritual?
So at the end of the ritual, or at closing ritual, we're going to build up the ritual fire. And at the end, the god bearers that are still here with their gods will hail and thank them for spending time here with us, or coming down and receiving their offerings and blessing us with good weather, no dramas, good cheer, joyous occasion had by all, good fun, no problems at all. And we'll pretty much burn the offerings so that they travel up to them and around to them, and even be poured onto the ground to go down to Jord, and then we'll close the ritual, and then everybody will cry because we won't see each other again until probably next year. And
it's really good because although it was raining last night, the sun's come out just to give us that bit of blessing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really wonderful area. This we came here about 4 years ago for the Asgardian 3, and it's just stuck in my mind ever since, that the way it's set up, the land around it is alive. You know, the trees feel like there's something about them. It's well looked after. It's a cared for area, and it's totally pagan friendly here. You know, they get it, and it's really nice to be an area that welcomes you back.
And health and safety is a big thing here. I mean, we've got the fire, but rather than just an open one, we've got it in here because the trees are not far away. And if we had a big fire,
everything's above
could
ground.
Start scorching.
We've got a brook just behind us that's well tended, but also fenced off. Dan Cortis is our health and safety guy, so he's done risk assessments. He's done he did the COVID regulations for this as well, in comparison to what risk assessments were done on site as well. So everything that could go wrong has been thought of. So,
and that's really good.
As with all our events, I'd like to say.
Thank you very much, Jack, for your time.
It's a pleasure, mate.
And for helping organise this.
That's all right. First of many.
And as you can see, there's plenty of ideas and thoughts when you look at these god posts. They've been individually carved or created in this instance, but it's with the thoughts of the gods and the goddesses in their particular roles, and how the people who've created them see these gods and goddesses. This god post, it's a representation of Odin. It's not Odin himself, although it's seen that the spirits are within. So as we go round and we see all these, it gives you ideas for when you're able to create your own altar. Some of these statues, like this one, they're only the height of my palm, rather than the 10 foot, 12 foot pole that's there, which you wouldn't necessarily have in your house. But that's an idea of a heathen ritual. It's about community. It's about the gods and goddesses. It's about the land. And as an earth-based religion, that's exactly what you want. I hope this inspires you. And if it does, and people ask you about what it is you do or what you know, inspire others. And in the meantime, breathe. Blessed be.